Good morning, grade sixes. Welcome to your daily mathematics lesson brought to you by WorksheetCloud. Hope you guys have had a great week. I hope you guys enjoyed the birthday edition on Wednesday and found some of those activities interesting and enlightening. And I hope you guys managed to have a bit of fun with it around the house. End of week 7 of lockdown. It seems to be becoming a little bit normal. But I encourage you guys to focus on the things that you are able to do and control, and not the things that you're not able to do or control. Okay, so a reminder of the email address, grade6@worksheetcloud.com. That's on your screen. Please feel free to send me any questions, queries, comments, or any feedback. I'll be glad to receive those. Okay, so today we're going to have a look at a few more examples when it comes to area of compound shapes, and then we're going to look at area of triangles. We've got our normal warm-ups, mental questions, and then challenges and brain benders on either side of our main theme. So let's get into our warm-up activity. Work out the value of each symbol and then remember the question mark at the end. Off you go. Okay, so there's the puzzle on the screen in front of you. The first place that I'm likely to start is on the second line, where the two flags are equal to the balloons. So that's going to be over there. Knowing that they are equal, I can go to the third line and see that 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. Remember that that's also 2 cubed. So therefore I know that 2 equals 2. Okay. I'm going to do 1 equals 2 minus 1 for the fourth line. Okay. And then we see how that works at the top. 9 equals 1 plus 7 plus 1. So that works out all right. And then I just need to plug the values into my bottom equation. So 7 multiplied by 2 minus 1 plus 2. And by now I'm sure we know that we do multiplication first. So 7 times 2 is 14. Then minus the 1 is 13. Add the 2 is 15. And voila, there is your final answer. Okay. Then we get into some mental maths questions. And I encourage you guys to press pause to work through those 5 questions, give them some thought, check your answers really carefully, and let's see how you guys get on. Right, so there are your questions on the screen. So 1A, a long multiplication question, 498 multiplied by 53. Okay, there are many methods you can do here. And for me to go through all of them is going to be quite time consuming. So I'm just going to choose one. I'm actually going to use the compensation method here. So I'm going to change 498 into 500 times 53. Why? Well, I find it really easy to multiply by 500 because all I need to do is multiply by 5 and then add the zeros, the 2 zeros for the multiple of 100. So 5 times 53, I'm going to do that first. All right, so we know that 50 times 5 is 250, and then 3 times 5 is 15. So that's going to be 265. All right, and then I need to put those zeros back in, and that's 26,500. Okay, now if you notice, from 498 to 500, I added an extra 2 groups of 53. So now I need to remove those extra 2 groups of 53, and that's going to be 53 times 2 is 106. Okay, and if you do that subtraction sum, you fill in all the borrowing and cancelling out, then you will find you get 26,394. Okay, so that's just one method you can use. You could have used the column method. I think the column method is more complicated than this compensation method. I suppose you could have used doubling and halving. You could have doubled 498 to 996 and then sorry, you could have doubled 53 to 106 and then halved 498 and done it that way. That's another method. And then if you understand the split method, you could have split 498 into 490 and 8, and then the 53 into 50 and 3, and you could have cross multiplied like that as well. Go back to the lessons that we did right at the beginning. So it would have been about 6-7 weeks ago on the various multiplication strategies. The lessons are there, the online activities are there for you to brush up on those skills. And ultimately, we're just trying to make the calculation process a little bit easier for ourselves. Okay, so the second question is a long division question. We haven't had one of these for a while. So 814 divided by 37. And by now, you should know that I like to do this first. 370, so 37 times 10. 37 times 20 is going to give me 740. I now know that from 740 to 814, that's going to give me an answer of 74. Okay. So now that I've worked out that, I know that if I multiply 37 by 2, I'm going to get 74. Okay. So 740 and 74, that's going to give me my 814, okay? And there you can see it's the 20 and the 2, so my answer is going to be 22. Now we can check that. We can check that by going 22 multiplied by 37, and that's going to give me 814. Okay, so first I'm going to do 20 times 37. So 20 times 37. Okay, I'm going to do 2 times 37 first, which equals 74. So I need to put the 0 in for the multiple of 10. And then I know 2 times 37 is 74. And when I add those together, I get my 814. Okay, so always a really good idea to check your calculations, guys. The number of times that you pick up careless errors is quite frightening, and you can obviously improve your results just by checking your work thoroughly. And then question C is an exponent question, okay? And that question is 2 to the power of 4 plus 5 cubed, and we know that 2 to the power of 4 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, so that's going to give me 16. And we know that 5 squared equals 5 times 5, which gives me 25. And if I add those together, I'm going to get 41. Okay. Question 2 is all about order of operations. Okay. So it's really important that you understand that questions in brackets come first. So for 2a, 1 plus 2 will come first, so that leaves me with 3 multiplied by 4 minus 3. We know from all our warm-up activities that multiply comes first, so 12 minus 3 is going to be equal to 9. So that's A. Okay, B, brackets first again, so 6 plus 2 is 8, so we'll then have 4 multiplied by 8, subtract 7, and we know that 4 multiplied by 8 comes first, and that's 32. Subtract 7, and we get 25. C, again, the bracket must be done first, so that's going to give me 5 plus 3 multiplied by 11. Okay, and we know multiply comes first. 3 times 11 is 33. Add the 5 is 38. And then for D, bracket first again, so it becomes 11 minus 2 times 3. Do the 2 times 3 first, which is 6. So 11 minus 6 is equal to 5. Okay, so that's order of operations. Brackets first, and in this case, multiply comes second. Okay, question 3 is a perimeter question, and we've just done perimeter, so I'm hoping that it's still fresh in your mind. A rugby field is 100 meters long, so let's draw it. I always encourage my students to draw problems if they can, just so that you have a visual representation of how it looks. It's 50 meters wide. How far will it be if you go around it 6 times? So first thing I need to do is figure out the perimeter, and you can see that that's going to be 300. So therefore I need to go 6 multiplied by 300, which is 1,800 meters, or 1,8 kilometers. Okay. Question 4. How much money do I have? I have 100 Rand and 75 cents. Okay, so let's put that in there. 100 Rand and 75 cents. I spend 89.75, and then I earn 36 Rand 50. So the first thing I'm going to do is find out how much I've got left after spending 89 Rand 75. And that's going to leave me with 11 Rand. And then I need to add 36 Rand 50. And as you can see, that's going to give me 47 Rand and 50 cents. Okay, so just another way for us to ask you or test you addition and subtraction of decimals. And then question 5 is fractions, just to see if you can remember how to compare sizes of fractions. And remember, we said that we were going to convert the denominators to the same number. However, in question A, you've got 5 over 9 and 5 over 8. Now, if I look at the denominators, because the numerators are the same, so if I thought about a pizza, if I had a pizza cut into 9 slices and then a pizza cut into 8 slices, which pizza is going to have the biggest slices? The one cut into 8 slices. So we know that 5 over 8 is bigger. Okay. If we had converted them to the same denominator, we could have converted them to 72, and that would have given us 40 over 72, and that 8 times 9 is 72, sorry, and then 9 times 5 is 45 over 72, and there you can see that that fraction is also bigger. Okay, 45 over 72 is equivalent to 5 over 8, and 40 over 72 is equivalent to 5 over 9. Okay, so that's A. In B, again, I'm hoping that you guys have a look at the fractions and recognize that 1/2 is greater than 3 over 8, because 3 over 8 is less than 1/2. Okay, so if it had said 1/2 and 4 over 8, then they're going to be equal, but 3 is less than 1/2 of 8. So straight away, you should recognize that 1/2 is greater than 8. If you didn't and you converted both denominators to the same amount, you would have converted it to 4 over 8 and 3 over 8. And there again, you can see 4 over 8, which is equivalent to 1/2, is greater than 3 over 8. C is 1/5 and 2 over 10. Okay, and here I'm hoping that you can recognize that they are equivalent. The 1/5 is equal to 2 over 10. Okay, and 2 over 10, if I divide 2 by 2, I get 1. If I divide 10 by 2, I get 5. Okay, and then your last question, question D, that is 2/3 and 4 over 9. Okay, and here we can most definitely convert the denominators to the same amount. So I can change this 3 into 9. Remember, whatever I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. Now I've got 6 over 9 and 4 over 9. And there you can see which fraction is bigger. So 2/3 will be bigger than 4 over 9. Okay, cool. I hope you guys remembered all those principles. We've done quite a few lessons up till now. But yeah, I would encourage you, please guys, to go back and look at the online lessons, activities and memos if there is a concept that you haven't remembered and you need to brush up on. some compound shape practice, and we're going to calculate the areas of these shapes. So I'm quite interested to see how much you guys can remember. So there's 6 problems there for you to go and work out by yourself. I've added in a couple of triangle questions at the bottom because it's just good to see if you can work those out before we actually go over that work, because you might surprise yourself and perhaps you already know how to work out the area of a triangle. So off you go and do those 6 problems and then press play to see how you guys get on. Question number 1, and with all of them I'm going to split the shapes up, but question number 1 I'm going to just split it up there. So I've got 2 rectangles. So my top rectangle, the area is going to equal 1 times 5, which equals 5 meters squared. Notice the squared sign and the units are included. And then the bottom rectangle is going to be 2 multiplied by 8, which equals 16 meters squared. Then I need to add the 5 and the 16. So my area total is going to equal 21 meters squared. Okay, so that's TOT, that stands for total. All right, so that one is going to be 21 meters squared. Okay, for the second one, again, I'm going to split the shape up. And for me, I'm going to split the shape up here. Okay, well, let's try to be a little bit more accurate. There, okay. So I'm going to work out the rectangle on the left. So area there is going to equal 30 multiplied by 40, and 3 times 4 is 12, and then we need to add the 2 zeros, and that's meters squared. 2 zeros in the question, so 2 zeros in the answer. And then I need to work out this area here. Okay, so I know that the width is 20, but I need to work out the breadth. So that whole distance at the top, that whole distance is 70, all right? Then if you notice, there's 30 over there. So this length that I'm going to put in blue must be 70 minus 30, so it must be 40. Okay, so that means that my area of that rectangle is going to be 40 for length times 20 for breadth, and that's going to give me 800 meters squared, and then my area total is going to be 2000 meters squared. Okay, cool. Your third one, or C. Okay, so again, you need to manipulate the lengths of the sides to suit yourself, and this time I'm going to cut it off there. So I'm just going to do it a little bit different to B. In B, if you had cut B off here, you should have got exactly the same answer. Okay, so there, if you had done that option in B, for the bottom rectangle, you would have 20 by 30, which is 600, and the top you would have 20 by 70, which is 1400, 600 and 1400, 2000, so same answer, okay? Okay, here I'm going to have the top rectangle is going to be 11 times 3, which equals 33 centimeters squared. Okay, and then if I just draw, if that's 11 and that's 6, then this value over here must be 5, because 11 minus 6 is 5. And if this whole thing is 6 and that's 3, then this little piece that I'm going to put in green over here must be 3. Okay, so for that area, let's hope I get them correct. Okay, so that area I'm going to have 5 multiplied by 3 equals 15 centimeters squared, and then my area total is going to be equal to 48 centimeters squared. Okay, okay, good. Right, let's go on to the ones that have got triangles in them. And I know that we're only going to go over the area of triangles today, but sometimes some of you guys might surprise yourself. If you get these wrong, then don't panic. go through the lesson with us. And then because you've given this an attempt already, and then you go over the lesson, I always feel that you'll be able to understand it a lot better because you've already given a shot, and now you're going to know where your mistakes are. Okay, so listen carefully. So your first shape in D, I'm going to work out the area of the rectangle at the bottom first. So that area is going to be 5 multiplied by 1, which equals 5 meters squared. Now your area of a triangle is half the area of a rectangle. So if I drew a rectangle, your area there is length times breadth. Okay? If I halve that, and I wanted you to work out just the area of this triangle, then surely it's going to be length times breadth divided by 2. Okay? And that's how you work out the area of a triangle. The length and breadth part turns into base times height. So that's why they've got that vertical arrow that's measured in 2 meters, because that's going to be your height of the triangle. So your area of your triangle is going to be base times height over 2. Okay, that's one way of writing the formula for the area of a triangle. Alternatively, when you divide by 2, it's the same as halving something. So you could also have a half base times height. Okay, both give you the same answer. So let's have a look. My base is 5. My height is 2. So that's going to equal 10 over 2. And my answer, which I'm just going to put on the left-hand side here so it doesn't get blocked out, is going to be 5 meters squared. So my total area is going to be that 5 meters and that 5 meters. So my area total is going to give me 10 meters squared. Okay. Perhaps now that you know how to work out the area of a triangle, you want to go redo questions E and F. And if that's the case, please feel free to do that. Press pause while I continue to work through E and F, and then press play and see if you've made the corrections and indeed learn from your errors that you might have made. Okay, so let's carry on with E. E is, I'm going to work out the area of the square at the bottom, and the area of the square is side times side, which is 10 times 10, which equals 100 centimeters squared. Your area of your triangle, let's go half base times height this time. Okay, that's going to give me half. My base is 10. Okay, so I'll draw the base in for you. Okay, so that's just the base there, and that's the side of the square. So we know it's 10. Right, and then you know your height, as I've already explained, is the 6. Okay, so it's 10 multiplied by 6. 10 times 6 is 60, so half of 60 is going to be equal to, and I just need to put it here so it doesn't get blocked out. Okay, and then I just need to add the 2 separate areas. So my area total is going to be equal to 130 centimeters squared. Okay, great. If you guys had gone back and worked it out and corrected any errors and learned from your mistakes, you can give yourselves a pat on the back, because that's really responsible, mature learning, and then that's a really good sign that you actually want to improve. So very well done for doing that. And then F, again, we've got a square in the middle, so that's going to be area equals 8 times 8, which equals 64 centimeters squared. And then I've got 2 triangles, but they're both exactly the same. So there I'm going to say area equals base times height divided by 2. My base is 8. My base is 8. My height is 5. I need to divide that by 2, so that gives me 40 divided by 2, which is 20 centimeters squared. But remember, I've got 2 of those triangles, so 2 times 20 equals 40 centimeters squared. And then I need to add the 64 and the 40, So my area total is going to be equal to 104 centimeters squared. Okay, so there's 6 compound shape area problems. If you can do all of those 6 at this stage of your mathematics career in grade 6, then you guys need to be really happy and confident regarding area of compound shapes. Okay, so I'm just going to go into a little bit deeper into the area of a triangle. And to start off with, and I know I've already drawn it for you, the area of a triangle is half the area of the surrounding rectangle or parallelogram. So on the Google Jamboard, I would have drawn a rectangle for you, but here we've drawn a parallelogram for you, and you can see if I take it back again, there's the triangle, here comes the other half, or here comes the parallelogram, and you can see that that triangle fits into half of the parallelogram. Okay, we've also indicated the height of the triangle because you need the base and the height to work out the area. Common questions, and they will probably come in grade 7, is when they give you the area and they give you the base and then they ask you to work out the height. Or they give you the area and they give you the height and they ask you to work out the base. So it's possible to mix the questions up to test whether you really understand the concept of area of a triangle. Okay, so there's your half parallelogram, the triangle with the red dot. There's the other half. So therefore the area of the triangle is half base times height. And we said when we halve something, we divide it by 2. So it could also be base times height divided by 2. Okay, here's some more. There's another triangle. This time we're putting a rectangle over it so that you can see that that triangle would work out to half of the surrounding rectangle or parallelogram. Okay, there's half of the rectangle on the right hand side, and there's the other half, and then the rectangle on the left hand side, that's half of that rectangle. So you can see even in a shape like that, you can still manipulate it so that you can see that the triangle is half of the rectangle. So the rectangle area will be 2 red dots plus 2 green dots. Okay, so the area of the triangle will be half the area of the rectangle. Okay, and that's going to be base times height divided by 2, or half base times height. Okay, so the most important thing here is just to know that a triangle is half a parallelogram or half a rectangle. You work out the area of a rectangle by using base length times breadth. So you need to halve that to get the area of the triangle. Right guys, so there's some practice ones for you to do of a triangle. I press pause here. Now that you know the formula, area equals half base times height, or base times height over 2. Go work out those 5. Press play to see how you got on. And let's see if you make any errors and whether you can learn from those errors going forward. So half base times height, 9 times 8, 72. Half of 72 is 36. Area, half 10 times 12, half 120 is 60. Half 14 times 16, 14 times 16 is 224. Half of 224 is 112 centimeters squared. Notice the unit with the squared sign, please. Here they give you the base and the height. Okay, you're multiplying decimals, but we've done a lesson on multiplying decimals. So once you've done that, you should get an area of 7.2 meters squared. And here, I'm very aware that this is going to be cut off with a cutout of me. So I'm just going to explain it to you. Area is half 7 times 5, which is 35. So that's going to give you 17.5 millimeters squared. Okay, our last little bit of a wrap up for our area of triangles, and I'm pretty sure you guys are know now, and you've learned how to do it. But just to recap, each triangle is half a rectangle. To find the area of a triangle, we find the area of the rectangle and divide it by 2. Okay, so there I've just given you a recap. On the left, the rectangle equals 8 times 4, which is 32. And if those measurements stayed the same, then half of that rectangle is going to be 16 centimeters squared. Okay, and we know the formula is half base times height, or base times height over 2. Okay, so there are a couple, there, 5 problems there for you to do. I'm going to go onto the Jamboard and work through the answers. Feel free to press pause and get through a little bit more practice there, and then let's see how you get on when you press play. So first question, we know that the rectangle is going to be 1 centimeters times 2 centimeters, so it's got an area of 2 centimeters. I need to halve that, so that answer is 1 centimeter squared. For B, I've got 4 centimeters times 10 centimeters for the whole rectangle, so that's 40 centimeters. I then halve that for the shaded triangle, and that's going to give me 20. For C, I've got 1 meter times 1 meter for the square, which gives me 1 meter squared. And then I need to halve that, 1 meter squared, and that's going to give me 0.5 meters squared, or half a meter squared. Okay. For D, I've got 6 centimeters times 4 centimeters, so the whole rectangle is 24 centimeters squared. Halve that, and I get 12 centimeters squared. Okay, and a shape like this, I showed you a shape like this in the presentation, where you could split up that rectangle there and realize that that white triangle is half of this rectangle, and that this white triangle is half of the second rectangular square. So again, all we need to do is work out the area of the entire rectangle, which is 3 times 5, which is 15, and then halve it, and we get 7.5 centimeters squared. Okay, great. Guys, here is your finisher for today. And we haven't done one of these for a couple of days, so I hope you guys are keen to get stuck into it again. Use each of the 4 numbers on each card and try to come up with the answer of 24 using plus, minus, multiply, divide. You don't have to use all the operations. You can use 1, 2, 3. You can use all of them. Try to get to the answer of 24 and also see how many different ways you can come up with the answer of 24. Guys, there's the email address at the bottom of your screen, grade6@worksheetcloud.com, should you have any questions or feedback for me. Thanks very, very much for watching today. I hope you have a really cool weekend. And yeah, I look forward to catching up with you guys next week. All the best, grade 6s.